Welcome back to Ebb and Flow Creative Co. My name is Emmy. Today I'm sharing some of my favorite watercolor supplies. So to get started with, we'll talk about paper. I think it's the most important thing to talk about, and I definitely have opinions. So this is my favorite paper to use. It's just the Canson XL watercolor paper. It is 300 grams, 140 pounds GSM. And it's just basic watercolor paper. The texture is fairly smooth. It's very affordable. You can find it in any art supply store. And I like this paper because it's very accessible and it's affordable. So when paper is affordable, it means that you're not afraid to use it. And that is very important when you're beginning. I would never suggest a beginner to use like arches because it's so expensive that it's a little scary to use, to be honest. You'll feel bad if you mess up. And this paper is cheap enough that you don't feel bad when you mess up. So I buy this. It's 9 by 12 inch pad. I've bought it bigger and ripped it down, but it's kind of hard to rip down. So I buy this. I use a paper cutter. This is by Cricut, but you can buy whatever kind you want to cut it down into pieces, because my other tip for beginners, well, is to start small. And so I cut one piece down into 4 pieces. It's 4.5 by 6 inch pieces. And I find it much easier to finish a small painting rather than a large one. But I also like to paint very small. So if you like painting big, try the whole paper, that's fine. Okay, sketchbook wise, oh, you know what? If this still feels expensive, then if you have a Walmart near you, this paper is pretty good. It's by Be Inspired. I don't know if it's the same Bee paper. I think it is. Okay, which we'll talk about in a minute. So this paper is really inexpensive at Walmart, and you can get a big pack of it, and it's got like 100 pages, I think, in it, which like normal packs have about 30, so it's a big fat pack of it. This paper is just a little more textured than I prefer, but it is pretty good. And both of these types of paper are cellulose, which means that they are made with tree fiber. And they're both cold press. Most affordable paper is cold pressed. I have not found an affordable hot press. Sorry, somebody's mowing outside. And so cold press is fine. I scan in most of my work and haven't really seen a difference between cold press and hot press as far as difficulty in removing backgrounds. Okay, for sketchbooks, I have 2 favorites. The Moleskine, which is interchangeable for me with Hana Mule. It's just like whichever one is cheaper at the time that I buy it is the one that I buy. So for the most part, in America, it's always the Hana Mule, or the Moleskine one. And it comes in lots of different sizes. The paper's pretty good. It's very lightly textured, and I just really love these sketchbooks. I've probably gone through about 10 of these. My newer favorite is the Be Creative books, and this one is a square format. This is cotton paper, and it's very lovely. I feel like no matter what kind of garbage I put on the paper, it looks pretty good. So I'm always pretty happy with it. And I just really, really, really love this paper. If I could only choose one paper for the rest of my life, it would be this, but because it's just so lovely to use. And it is really affordable too. Okay, so that's paper and sketchbooks. The next thing that I think is really important are brushes. When I first started out, I started with these Winsor & Newton Cotman brushes, and they're a little rounder at the tip. This is a bigger size, but here's a smaller one, and they're just kind of more rounder. I don't always reach for these as much anymore. These are my favorite. They're these silver black velvet brushes. They are like partially real animal hair. I think it's squirrel hair, so if you're vegan, not the choice for you. But they get so pointy at the tips, and they're just so lovely to work with. I have 3 sizes. I have a 2, a 4, and a 6 because I like to paint small. Before I started buying those, I used these Princeton Velvet Touch brushes, and I still really love these brushes. I mainly use them for gouache, but I do use them for watercolor, and I'm kind of coming back around on them. I have them in 2, 4, and 6 round brushes again. They are not quite as pointy, but they are pretty well loved at this point. So they're a little softer on the edge, and I've been really enjoying that kind of softer edge, as it just creates like a different look with watercolor and gouache that I'm really loving lately. Alright, the next things that I really love are coal erase pencils. You can see they're getting kind of short. Alright, I like sketching with coal erase pencils because you can erase them, but also they don't leave graphite smudges everywhere. And so when you paint over them, they're not like adding gray to the painting. They do leave, whatever color you use as the sketch line, but I think it looks more intentional than a gray line. And so when I think ahead, I'll try to use a color that blends a little better. I have them in quite a few colors, and but for the most part I use the red and the light blue. They also make a photo, I think this is it. This, it's not supposed to show up on scanners, but the problem with it is that I can barely see it when I use it. So it also doesn't show up for my eyeballs. It shows up in photos, but I guess it's supposed to disappear for a scanner. But when you can't see it, it's kind of defeats the point. So really love these. And yeah, they come in a pack of like 12 different colors. But if I could only choose one, I would choose the red. I just think it blends very nicely. And then my favorite erasers, I use the Tombow plastic eraser. It's this black one, and it's just so gentle, and it will erase the coal erase, and it doesn't tear up the paper. And then I also like a kneaded eraser. You can see all the red on it from coal erase pencils, and you just kind of like go like that on the drawing to erase, and it's very gentle as well. I also use these little eyedroppers to put water in if I'm just using a couple of colors, rather than wetting my whole palette, because when I wet them too much, they get like this weird texture where it kind of like curls up. So I'm trying to be a little more gentle with how much water I'm adding. And so I just add a little bit of water to the actual colors. If I'm painting a lot, then I use a spray bottle, and it's a continuous spray, so when I spray, it just kind of keeps going very gently, and it's a mist, so it's not like splashing everywhere. The other thing I've really been loving with my watercolor is using acrylic ink as the underlayment for stuff. So like if I'm painting like a bird, and it's red, I'll put in a pink layer, and it just kind of pops under it and adds a texture and makes it glow. And these are kind of my favorite ones to add. They are translucent, and so they work really well. I have this blue color as well, but it's pretty opaque, and so it doesn't work as well, but I do use it if I need to. And these are just kind of my secret to making stuff really pop and glow under the watercolor paint. I use just a regular kitchen towel instead of paper towels for the most part, and it's like well loved and probably needs to be washed at this point, but it's just a little more sustainable than using paper towels every time, because that feels really wasteful to me. And so I'm trying to be a little more conscious of that. I started using them during the pandemic when paper towels were really hard to find. For my water jar, this jar is really gross, sorry, but it's just an old pickle jar. I raid my recycling bin for stuff, and I use a pickle jar. Sometimes I use a yogurt jar. The glass is a little loud when I'm cleaning my brushes, you probably notice in videos, and that's okay. For mixing, for the most part, I use the little trays in here, but if I'm mixing like large amounts, I have like these. This one is like a condiment thing that I got at a grocery store, and I mix up an amount and just add like a lot of water for those. And then I have these, which I do the same thing with for like certain colors that I use a lot, and then extra paint colors I kind of keep in these. And so this is just kind of a palette that I use a lot. If I'm using colors I don't use a lot, then I have these, and these are like soap dishes. I'll link everything below. And it's just like a little flat tray. You can use really anything, like old dishes and stuff, just don't use them also for eating. A lot of watercolor is toxic. You would have to eat quite a bit of watercolor for it to be toxic, but better safe than sorry. So yeah, I use these for mixing like smaller amounts of random colors. And paint. Okay, when I first started, I just bought, I think I bought a mixing, like a Cotman set, like a travel Cotman set to begin with, and I was pretty frustrated by the lack of colors. And then I bought a Daniel Smith mixing set, which had like 6 colors, and just slowly added colors over time. And so now I use my own palette that I've mixed and made with my favorite colors, which I will link. And I've collected watercolors over time and just kind of played and experimented, and it seems really expensive to buy them all at once, so don't do that. Just buy like 1 at a time, 2 at a time, and you'll quickly find your own colors. You can also buy dot cards to find the colors that you like and experiment. These are my favorite watercolor supplies. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.